Part 3, Feathers, Detail, or Loose. Hello everybody and welcome to DC Fine Art. Today we are doing part 3 on this oil pastel of this rooster. And I decided to kind of make this a little bit, it's going to be a little bit shorter of a video. I have totally been busy this week and I'm so sorry for the lateness of usually supposed to be on Thursday and even Sunday today was really super hard to even make that schedule because of how busy I have been. I will be getting back on track, so luckily that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But here I'm just kind of creating some detail. Now I did say I was going loose or detail. Which one, is best? And you could do both. I mean, you can seriously do both in one painting. It's just where do you want your attention to be? I mean, if you're wanting the attention to be more on the skin, on his beak, on his eye, you put most of the detail in there. Now I'm working with this one here, doing some detail kind of work, just kind of putting in my colors, which is mainly, it looks like it's white, but it's not white. It's actually a really light gray. I actually might be able to get this to see what color it is. I'm using Sennelier oil pastels. It's a cold gray. So it's not a white, but it is a cold gray. I do have white in there in case I want to go back, which I'll show you guys. I want to go back in there and add some highlights. But this is just kind of getting the look. Basically, whenever you look at it really close, you can see all the marks and all the stuff like, oh, okay, I understand how you did that. It's just little marks. But when you look far away or at least stand back and look at it in the distance, I mean, it looks more detailed. So that's what makes it really nice to do these paintings. I mean, that's what just about a lot of these paintings, usually looking from far and then looking up close, there's a difference. But here I'm just kind of adding in some different colored variations in here. And it was just colors that was in the feathers itself. I'm not being exactly precise, but here you can see I'm making little bitty marks as in detail. Would be the detail part, is just making sure every little feather is sticking out, like trying to do like more little wispy feathers. I'm going to have to add some in there, stuff like that, as being more detail. But when I start working on the full feathers, like all the way around his head and his body, kind of tapering down on his body, it's more of his neck. But I'm going to go more loose with that because I don't really need that much detail in the feathers. I was really hoping just to kind of keep with the detail in his beak and his face. So here I'm just kind of touching in some colors, and then I use my OMS, which is very light on the brush, just to kind of blend out some areas. It's not all the areas, but just kind of smooth it out. And if you guys are needing the reference photo or wanting to look at the reference photo, I will have that link posted below. It is from Pixabay and it's free to use. But here I'm just kind of taking some of my OMS and I'm dipping it into, like, using it, like rubbing it into the stick and making like a kind of paint like paste. It's more like a paint like, and I wouldn't say paste because then you need to add a little bit more OMS, but I'm adding it like a paint like substance. That way I can come back in and make little marks, like little feather marks. And this is where you get more your detail work, is whenever you start adding in like these little fur or little, fuzzies from the feathers. And that's all I'm doing, is just taking OMS, I'm rubbing it into the stick and creating a paint like substance. And then I'm coming back in and just kind of putting these little bitty details of little like feathers like sticking out, like little fine feathers. And then here I'm just kind of drawing some lines in, because there was a lot of, like, a big cluster of feathers right there. Oh, and then also I wanted to let you guys know, I know besides adding in some of these little details that we're doing here are these little feathers like marks, so which feather layers on top of another, um, which is just, it's not exactly to the reference photo, but it is just kind of given that effect that it has like multiple feathers in this cluster. And whenever you stand back and look at it, then you can kind of see that it's like a cluster of little feathers, like a patch. Also, in the links below, I do have my Facebook and MeWe groups. My Facebook has the my artist community on there. And if you'd like to join that, I'll give you guys updates on if I'm going to be late on a video, or if there's one that's going to be, a different day than on Thursday. That's the place where I'll post it. I'll post it there, and I'll also post it on MeWe. Just letting you guys know a heads up that maybe I won't have a Thursday video coming out. It might be postponed due to, you know, who knows what. I mean, anything could happen, but just to give you guys a heads up. And then also on the artist community on Facebook, you are more than welcome to post your work in progress on any of your artwork, or anything that you'd like to share, or any like finished pieces that maybe you've done. If you had any questions on things or needing help, it's just a really good group that I wanted to start up, so that way we can kind of see, some of the artwork that maybe you created. And yeah, definitely it's a new group, so it is just starting to grow little by little. So yeah, if you haven't already, it'd be nice to just to go ahead and check that out. We would love to have you guys over there. Now here I'm just kind of blending in some of that skin, or that skin color kind of in and out, so that way it kind of gives a little bit more definition to it. It's not just a round circle. But that is basically my detail part of doing this. I mean, I don't want to put in too much. It is a clump of feathers, but it does have those little bee marks in there. Now here I am going to go in and do more of a looser type of feather. And this is just something quick. I may go back in after this is all said and done, and whenever I have more time too, to just kind of go in and maybe on the tips and tops of his feathers going around his head, I may just go ahead and add a little bit more, like maybe some detail in that. But as far as the feathers go, all the way around, it's just going to be more of a looser look. If I'm needing to go back in and add maybe some highlights, I might do that. But other than that, I wanted it to be more of a looser type of look. Now, I know that in the reference photo, it's not exactly like the reference photo, but I just kind of looked at some of the colors that I seen in there. So I seen some little bit of a yellowish kind of color, or a cream kind of color, which of course I didn't really have cream in um, my set. But I went ahead and went with the yellow, and then adding in some grays for shadows, like on the feathers, adding some dark grays, and then for like a deeper shadow, adding in some browns, because I did see some brown in there and some darker brown too. So I went ahead and took some of my brown and added those colors in there. Along with my brightest color was the cold gray that I was using for the feathers. And so now I'm coming back through and I'm just kind of putting those in. I put in my darks and my shadows. I will have to come back in and possibly add some more shadows to it, but this is just more of a looser stroke, or a looser painting. But yeah, I'm just kind of looking at what my reference photo shows. So the feathers are going to be going in the same direction as in the reference photo. So at least I try to. So if the feathers are going laying over one direction, I will do the same kind of thing whenever I'm doing this in my painting here. Just kind of dotting in and adding in some of my shadows. And see some of those darker shadows too, like the browns. Like once I go back in and try to blend a little bit of it out, I'm not trying to blend it all out, but I will be coming back through and just kind of blending it in a little bit to kind of get rid of any of the board. If I see any of that brown or that tan board kind of showing through that I don't want, I may want to blend a little bit if it's looking a little rough like really textured rough, not really a good type of rough, then I want to go back in and use my OMS, just kind of blend that out. So I would want to smooth it out, but I don't want to smooth everything out. I still want some of the texture from my oil pastels. Adding in some more browns with some of the shadows in there. Some grays, and then I went back in and used a darker gray. And then kind of strung the feathers from that area. Adding in some more shadows on those areas. Doing in some little shadows. But yeah, it's not exactly like the reference photos, but I definitely love how I can add in some darks to lights on my shadows, and then streaming some of that cold gray of the feathers through that. Now I'm adding a little bit more brown in this because as it goes down, I'm kind of wanting it to be a little bit darker than the top. So I'm going to be adding in a little bit more shadows to this lower half than I would on the top. Or at least some more brownish colors, because I definitely want it to start darkening as it comes down. There I'm kind of adding in these feathers. So I put my darks in first, and now I'm just kind of going on top with some of my lighter colors. And there was a dark shadow in there, so I'm using some of my dark gray. Then I'm going to a little bit lighter gray, and then I'm going to my cold gray for my feathers. Add in a little bit more dark, and then light. So I'm kind of staging those out. But I definitely will have to get a fresh set of eyes to be able to come back after this dries, which I know it'll take a little bit because it was a bigger area. And usually I have a little bit more time to work on it, but this week has been fun. Feels like I've been losing everything. Either I lose lose my cards or lose my, gosh, if my head wasn't attached, I probably would lose it this week because I have been just losing everything. It's like, I don't know. I've been misplacing my stuff. So yeah, I have been having a great and swell week this week. But hopefully next week it'll be all better and I won't be losing any of my stuff or forgetting, oh no, I forgot my wallet or my purse, and then don't have no purse, no wallet, no nothing, and here I am doing other things. And yeah, it has been fun. I have definitely had a fun week this week. And I was so excited to work on him too, and I didn't have the time to be able to work on him like I used to, or at least like more time than I should have because of all my mishaps of losing things. So hopefully next week will be a whole lot better. And next week, I also wanted to come back through. I'll do a little bit more of these highlights, maybe add a little bit more detail to his feathers, maybe a little bit. I don't want to go too detailed because I want it to be more loose. But I will be adding a little bit more highlights or a little bit more darker tones just to kind of darken or lighten some of his feathers. And then we'll be working on the last bit, which is going to be the eggs below and like some cross hatching, like little background with the eggs. So then that should be able to sum it all up. So it will be one more part. It will be a part 4 next week, which should finish off this rooster completely, and he will be ready to go to his forever home. So, yay! I'm super excited about that one. And if you are new to my channel, please click the like and subscribe and ring the little bell or click the little bell for notifications. That way YouTube can remind you when I come out with my next video, because sometimes, like me, it may not be on a Thursday. It could be on a different day altogether. So clicking that little bell notification to let you guys know when I come out with a video is definitely helpful. But yeah, that sums up part 3 of the rooster, doing some detail and doing some loose feathers. And here is a picture of my rooster, just kind of taken back and then taking a picture of him, so that way you can kind of see the whole image of the feathers just be more looser around the edge, and some of the detail little clumps like on his little cheek there. So part 4, we're going to be going over just a couple little bit more things. I may do a couple more highlights on his feathers, but other than that, I really wanted him more loose. And then we'll be working on the eggs and the cross hatching on the bottom to finish off this piece. So yeah, I guess that finishes off part 3, and I hope to see you all on part 4. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.